Okay, I'm going to play a quick intro. It's 1 minute and 20 seconds, and your mic will be live. So just be aware of that. Hello, everybody. We've got a great show. We got a divine union that we're going to sit down with, Curt Winter and Scarlet, Ireland. We'll be right back. If these shows resonate, please share. Thank you. How's it going, everybody? We got Curt Winter and Scarlet, Ireland here today. It's good to see everybody. Thank you for coming in. I can't always remember because I do so many shows. I can't always remember everything. But I remember meeting Scarlet, and I was blown away. I can't tell you a thing we talked about. But I just remember, and I remember after the show saying, we got to get her back, And I remember we talked about that she was in a relationship, which is especially when because I saw on Curt's page, you guys were like 20 years plus. And so when there's these couples, which I haven't run into too many that actually have been together for, pre-2012. And I can imagine how that Morgan and I have been together 5 years yesterday. And that seems like a lifetime. I can imagine 20 would be like, several incarnations. But yeah, so I'm anxious to see what it's all about, but I know because she's powerful, he's got to be powerful, and the relationship's got to be powerful. So we're going to talk about that today, and anything you guys want to talk about, it's a conversation. It's not a typical Q&A interview type of thing. So you're welcome to ask questions as well, whatever you want to do. And I just wanted to say too that when I've run into couples that have been together a long time, like Kirsty and James Greenshields out of Australia, one of the things that I find quite interesting and full of code is, there's a misconception out there. When you find that person, everything's just fluffy, love, and light from there out, and you don't have any you don't have any fluctuations. So I'm here to support the dispelling of that belief system. But I know I can tell by your energy that you guys are really pure. Even like what we're looking at, you said that was a portal behind you where you live. And, I'm just honored to have you guys on here and have the opportunity to expand the frequencies that you guys carry. So thank you for honoring us with your presence and coming in.
Thank you for having us, and happy anniversary, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I was so proud of myself because we were binge watching, which we do sometimes when the energy is heavy. We just do it just to process through the metaphor of whatever we're watching, because there's always a message. And so I was like, I was laying on the couch, she's on the other one, and it was like, because we're in the central time zone. At the time I was living in Houston, it was 3:33 in the morning when I jumped off the couch, and I said, I need her now, because I was like curled up in a fetal position and I was bawling, and this had been going on for hours, and I just jumped off the couch. I said, I need her now. And in that moment, she messaged me because I had said, "Hey, do you want to join Soulogy?" And she's like, "What's Soulogy?" I was actually coming on to her after stalking her for 6 months, and but she had responded to me, and I told her in that moment, I need to talk to you. And she's like, "I know, I need to talk to you."
Wow.
But anyway, I was laying on the couch, and it was like 3:22, And the episode ended. And she goes, "Let's take a break." And I thought, well, I'll go ahead and I was going to wait till 3:33. And I said, happy, I said, whatever. I said, happy anniversary. And she looked at me like, what are you talking about? And I said, she goes, for a minute, I thought it was June the 12th because that's when we got married. And I said, no, it's September the 3rd, 3:33 in the morning, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah. But anyway,
how
it's just
awesome. If that is divine timing, I don't know what is.
I know, man. It was cool. And it seems like it was like 10 weeks ago now. It was just like a day and a half ago. So how did you guys meet? What's the story behind that? Were y'all awake when you met?
No. Not in the slightest.
We met through mutual friends.
Yeah.
So it was kind of it was slightly arranged in that they shoved us both into the same bedroom when we were up north on a ski trip.
Oh.
I mean, we were, we're young, we're partying, whatever, these kind of things happen. And it was a wild weekend, and we're the only ones married and the rest of them are all divorced.
Wow.
Or dead.
Here's a fun one for you. So after that weekend, I was like, oh, I'm intrigued by this one. And she was trying to sell her car. We had gone up north in her car for the weekend. She was trying to sell it. So I wrote the number down off the for sale sign, right?
Yeah, there you go.
So like a couple of days later, I call it. Well, it's the number to where she worked. So they answer the phone. They're like, thank you for calling Jennings of Michigan. And I'm like, what the? And I hang up because I'm freaked out. I'm like,
right.
Did I get the right number? Did I write it down wrong? What happened? And so I ended up calling one of her friends, and she's like, oh, that's where she works. And I was like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. No, but
did you bust the move, Curt? Did you call her up?
No. Oh, I called her up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I called her up. We had a long distance relationship for the first year or so.
Longer than that.
A couple years.
Yeah.
Wow.
I lived, in the central part of the state, and she lived down here in the Detroit area.
He worked for our family company.
Mm.
And if
dove right in.
And if you can, I can't even believe we made it through that one. But yeah. So
early initiations, right?
Yeah, I'd say. Yeah, but then we, married, did the thing. We were both working, big jobs, doing the life thing, and somewhat unfulfilled, And then, as we talked in our conversation, I found yoga.
Yeah, that's right.
And then we both did, and that let us.
I'm like in the seat and the rocket behind her.
Yeah.
I just strap in.
Yes.
Where are we going next?
That's right. Somebody get that. Delia's going to get that little piece, and we'll put that out on as a little excerpt. But that's a good meme too. That'd be a good GIF or whatever you call it.
Well, because I always say to her, I'm like, I'm in.
That's right. I'm
strapped in. I'm here. I'm ready. I'm willing. And because sometimes she's all like, I can't believe that you followed me through all of this, and I'm like, I would have had it no other way. It would have been so boring any other way. So.
And if it weren't for him, I'd be gone. I would be gone. I wouldn't have stuck around.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting because this morning we produced a show for the Cosmic Ladies group, which is this 6 women from around the world that met through Soulogy, and they meet, and I just said, hey, why don't y'all bring your private meeting online? And so I woke up this morning totally purging, totally disoriented. I was late, and they waited, and I came back on the end of the show, and they were and I said, thank you for letting me come back on the show. And I just got to tell you, guys were like, you guys nailed it on the divine masculine, on what the men are going through. I mean, they were on it. They really, really got it. And anyway, somehow or another it came up, and I said, something about Morgan. And I said the same thing Curt did. I said, you know what? Whatever she said, I followed since day one. And they go, you're a very smart man. But it's true. There's something about what's happened that she leads. At least like Morgan says, at least up to a certain point. And there's just this constant, he comes up to meet her, and then that creates some type of impetus for her to go up again and then it just keeps going, you know?
Well, because I met her, so of course, oh wait, he's right here with me. I'm gonna have to take care of that. Competition.
Oh, well, I think it's a little different, I'd say, in the past couple years, that we're much more we're on like an equal footing, even energetically wise, and but we're doing different things. He's kind of the caretaker here, and he's very in touch with elementals and the nature aspect, and I'm much more energetic and things like that. So we're working on different areas, but thank God we're able to bounce things off each other.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a seems to be like with us, and I'm the same way. I'm more attuned to the elementals and the nature beings and wind and clouds, and she's obviously an ET, like you. And but what I notice is that whole thing about polarities, like okay, on the surface when we met, she's very prim and proper. She speaks like very well. And I'm like from the streets. I'm very wild, long hair, never shave, and have habits that she didn't understand. And but what I've noticed is recently, like say over the last couple of years, how I can see like these polarities, such as what you described. What I just said about her being galactic and me more elemental. And you see these continuing polarities and how they're magical complements to each other, which I think is what you're alluding to. Right?
Yeah, definitely. It's gotten a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of that is because the world around us has shifted in the last couple of years. And I think shifted dynamically compared to what happened in the last 10 and the last 50. Yeah. You know what I mean? So we had done a lot of work so that as that shift started to happen, it made our life easier. Okay. Whereas I think for some people, if you haven't done some work and the vibration gets raised around you, you feel like you're struggling because you're not in harmony with the vibration any longer. And the vibration's starting to kind of rack you around a little bit, Yeah. So we were grateful for that. Yeah, I think, and it's been nice in the last couple of years just to enjoy watching some of the things that we knew were coming actually come into fruition, and actually see things around us changing, because for me, for a number of years, I had the hardest time trying to figure out, okay, I know we're going to get from here to here, but I don't understand the middle ground. You know what I mean? Yeah. I tend to be kind of details orientated. So I want to know about all the little steps in there. Well, you don't get to be privy to that all the time. Yeah. But to see all of a sudden, we may not be where we know we're exactly headed, but you can suddenly see that we're not where we were. You know what I mean? That things have shifted and that it is different. And you're like, ooh, okay, it is coming into fruition.
Yeah.
Well, we were at a point where, this was quite a while ago. It's like, I don't know if this is going to happen. I don't know. And this was pre-2012. I was like, I don't know if it's going to happen. And then it did, and then we were just like, holy shit, it's happening,
So it sounds a lot like, and I can relate to this because Morgan started downloading, I think, in 1999. So when I met her in 2015, I'm talking to this person who's downloaded Divine Union, Sacred Sexuality, Ascension. I didn't have any clue about it. It felt right. But I'm like Curt, when I met her, I saw where it was going, it being more of a feeling and, knowing her and knowing everything that went with it that paralleled it collectively. But I had no idea how do we get there, which is where she comes in, right? And that's really kind of a step-by-step, moment-by-moment thing. Like I even asked her about sacred sexuality, because we were both celibate and we remained that way for a couple of years before we, even after we got together. And I would ask her, like, do you know what we're supposed to do? And she'd say, no, but I know what we're not supposed to do. And I'd be like, damn. Okay. That's out of the picture.
That's the answer I was looking for.
Yeah, right. So, yeah. Oh, I could go into some stories there, but so I guess from what I'm hearing, So I remember now a little bit. Thank you for jogging my memory. You found yoga. You start getting lit.
Yeah.
You guys, by your own admission earlier, you were not awake when you met, or whatever that means. And so what? You came home and told Curt, hey, by the way, I'm from, Venus, or whatever the case is.
I wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
But
Well, she started doing. So here, I'll just give you the early play out. So she started doing yoga, and then she would buy like these Curt CDs at the yoga studios, and so we had them laying around the house. And so she'd be off at yoga, and I'd be like making dinner, and I'd pop in the Curt CD, and I would start listening to it because I was like, well,
and this is when no one was doing this.
Yeah.
No, this wasn't a thing.
Yoga. You didn't go out and be like, hey, I'm doing yoga, because if you did, people were like,
or Curt.
What? You're doing what? Why would you do that?
So,
Oh.
so I'm listening to the Curt.
I'm laughing because I totally get y'all. I mean, it's like, sometimes you meet people and you're like, I know you. But like, I'm looking at both of you. It's like one person. I'm like, I know you.
Well, I like to say we're yin and yang.
Yeah.
Because that's why we've been able to be together through so much change in so many years, is that my strengths are her weaknesses and her strengths are my weaknesses. And so we fit together beautifully into this beautiful circle of symmetry, in that yin and yang like feeling. And the other thing that happens is, so we don't spin out of control. We're not typically both up at the same time, and we're not down at the same time. You know what I mean? So that we help keep each other into balance, because some success is happening for one person, the other person might be struggling a little bit, and then, the wheel turns and then it flips around, but it helps you stay in balance with each other,
Well, and I will say there was a point that we had to extract, because we were, as I think Morgan says a lot, the zero pointing. We had a lot of codependence, a lot of these old programs, right, that you're working through this. And we had to go apart to become our own selves. And that was like painful.
Oh, I remember your story. I remember now.
Yeah.
When you
we went through that for 3-4 years. We were but we had to.
Yeah.
Because it was a bunch of codependence, a bunch of just all the programs, and we had to figure out who we were individually. And we still are figuring that out, but we're much more, we're standing on our own and we're together.
So when these energetic and literal separations occurred, did you know going into them, hey, we got to do this for us? Or was it more like, I got to do this for me?
No, thought we were done.
Ah, wow.
We thought we were done, and things played out. I think I told you, we had our house, which is a huge portal. We've been here 20 years too. We had the house on the market, didn't sell.
Go figure.
Right? It's the universe laughing at that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, you think you want to do that?
Yeah.
And we had it on the market 3 different times.
Wow.
The third time was like, okay, we get it. We had it sold almost twice.
Wow.
So, and now we're like, oh my God, I can't even believe, thank God that didn't happen. Thank God, but there's no mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah. She's often told me, as we're observing, with the work we do, and we started to, solicit couples to come on, right? Because that wasn't an easy thing. At first it was like, a bunch of fluffy love and light, people come on, oh yeah. And then 2 weeks later, like, oh, do you know they're not together anymore? But the thing that she would say is that if it's, the universe, and it sounds cliche-ish, but it's not, because you're living proof. If the universe wants you together, nothing's going to stand in your way. There's nothing's going to keep it apart.
Including you.
Including us.
That's what I said to her, including my dumb ass. and my rants and my Latin blood getting high or whatever. But that's really cool. So I bet it was like incredible when you guys came to the realization that, we're meant to be together and everything goes into alignment. I would imagine.
It
I
took
would,
some time. It took some time. You know, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I don't think that was a moment like that, for at least for me. I can't speak for her, obviously, but more so that happened earlier on during our yogic phase, when, to me, when the first time that you know, feel the energy flowing up your spine and feel
yeah,
alive for the first time. Those kind of experiences were a lot more altering than when you kind of slide into the groove. You know what I mean? It's not, it feels good and it's great, and I'm not knocking it, but it doesn't have that same awe moment, just
yeah.
because you kind of slid in something that's
It's subtle.
it's working. It's subtle. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's way more subtle than the first time, you know, you blow energy right up your whole channel and you're just like, whoa, dude.
Yeah.
Wow. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been subtle, us coming back together and realizing how we're back together,
Yeah.
too.
I mean, the other thing that's nice, though, is to know that there's this stable structure there.
Yeah.
That all the years we've been together and all the work that we've done and everything that we've
And,
experienced and
you
been
know,
through
we've been through some shit.
has created this foundation that's now, you know, very stable on multiple levels, multiple dimensions, multiple, you know, and it ties in with our house, which we've basically created our own little ashram here.
Yeah.
Made our own little energy center here, and so that is also very conducive to us because we created it. It's our
Yeah.
energy, you know. And
Yeah.
so as a lot of turbulence happens around you, we get to sit in this space and, to a certain level, ignore some of it, you know. Because of the work that we've done, it buffets some of those energies, you know.
Yeah. Like the eye of the hurricane.
Right.
Sometimes it's like that.
Exactly.
Or sometimes it's like, it is the hurricane.
Right. There's that, you know.
Well, there is a
You're in the
paradox-
eye, sometimes you're in the outer bands, you know.
Yeah. There is a certain paradoxical method to the lessons we learn from the universe. You know, as soon as you think you got it figured out, it flips upside down, and it means the same thing, but you can't figure out how. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really. Do you guys have you found? Do you guys, especially in these last, say, 2-3 years, do you trigger people? Do you? Does your
Some
So
people
you-
can't even see us.
Yeah.
Some people can't even see our house. Like, they can't even find, like, we have workmen come and they can't even find our house.
Wow.
I laugh because I have to be very conscious because I enjoy triggering people sometimes. So I have to try to not do that, just because I know exactly what you're saying. There's times when I just go and you're just holding yourself at a certain frequency, people just start losing it around you. You know, it just happens. But
Yeah.
on the same token, when I see that happening, it's not like I'm going to go, oh, I better bring that down a notch. No,
Yeah.
sorry. This is where it's going. You're going to need to figure it out.
Yeah.
Well,
Really compassionate there.
I mean,
Yeah. We have a lot in common.
okay, but I also tend to look at it that it is compassionate because you're exposing them to a frequency that's coming and you're giving them an opportunity to start to experience it. It may not be pleasant at first. I get that, but you got to break the ice, right? For lack of a better term, you know.
Well, and you're at the vibration you're at, and it just is what it is. You're doing this work, you know, so like you can't control what's happening, the interactions that are happening. Yeah. You know, I'm just now starting to recognize some of them. It's like, oh, there's that. Okay. You know, and I would take it personally and internalize it being an empath and why don't they like me and da-da-da. It's not about that.
Yeah.
It's not about that at all.
Yeah. 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 We go through that. And like, it's like, you're right. You're like, you know, if it's not like, why don't they like me? It's why'd they do that? why are they assholes and I'm not, you know? but then you're like, you know, well, like Morgan always says, everything is an opportunity presenting itself to make a new choice.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really like where the you know, the big impact of even the individual journeys, you know, with these loops that keep coming around. Yeah. There's been a couple of people that have made comments. Your story is, you know, they're identifying with it. And I think this question from Sita Devi kind of encapsulates it. How did you know that you had to come back together or stay together? And you said it was very subtle, but I mean, You had to have discussed it, I'm sure, at some level.
Yeah. When you're out, okay, so we had been separated. I'm only speaking for myself. We had been separated for 3 or 4 years on and off.
Yeah.
You're living in separate places, and you realize exactly what you have. And it's not a small thing, you know. And I realized that a lot of it was my own crap.
Yeah.
It was me having to grow up.
Yeah.
And, you know, you have to go through the stuff, you have to grow. And I don't think I could have done it any other way. But what we had and what we've gone through and what we've built here is very, very, you just don't find this.
Yeah. There's no shortcuts.
No. And we had been together and done so much work that it's like, you know, why are you throwing this away? And just when I'm looking at myself in the mirror going, you need to grow up with a few things.
Yeah.
And to add on top of that, I don't think it was, for me at least, it wasn't, oh, we should stay together. It was much more of a subtle gradation of, you know, she goes down to Florida, she's down there. At first, I'm enjoying the fact that she's not here. Well, I'm just being honest, you know.
I've been there.
You know.
I've been there.
I was an only child. I like being alone. So, but then after a while, I started to appreciate or look at the fact that, wait, the house and the yard doesn't have the same energy because she's not here.
Yeah.
That there's this empty spot, that there's this hollow place. Okay. And so as much as I enjoy being by myself and having my own time and being able to do whatever I want to do, I also started to acknowledge the fact that it wasn't the same, that the house wasn't the same, that this place wasn't the same. And then she would come back and I would have a greater appreciation for when she was here and what she brought and everything that she brought to the table. Instead of just focusing on things that were irritating to me, I got to appreciate the whole spectrum of what it represented, you know? And so it created a deeper appreciation for me, which again is a subtle thing that happens over time. It's not, you know, you hit January 15th and you're like, oh yeah, we're going to stay together.
I mean, for us, it's been that way.
Yeah. And I'm just speaking of my experience, you know? So in that regard, there was no moment where I was suddenly like, oh, we need to stay together. It was just the universe pushed some things around. She started spending more time here. And because of the time that we had spent away from each other, we were able to come back together in a different fashion. We were able to interact in a different fashion. And I think that the time away was needed because we needed to evolve separately because we're not one being. We can coexist, but I'm Curt and I've got my own path and Scarlet has her own path. You know what I mean? So we, you know, you orbit around each other and you're around each other and it's conducive for a while and it may spin apart at a certain point. It may not. But to me, the ultimate thing is that you're on your own journey. I can't be on her journey. I can be with her and we can journey together, but it's still two separate journeys. All right. It's not one journey. I'm on my journey and she's on her journey and you're on your journey, you know? So, you know, I think for me, again, it was a subtle, greater appreciation of what we really had together and what we had built.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people have referred to this new age, this new whatever, as the age of the Trinity, you know, where we were in duality. I know Morgan downloaded this going back again 15, 20 years. She wears some kind of knot. It's a triad knot on her that she saw in Thailand when this information was coming in years ago. So that the two or more people really, but two people create a third energy. And that this energetic force is coming into play now in our lives as we transform, you know, and do the work that we do. Do you sense that in your relationship? Do you feel that? You know, because I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And Morgan does her thing, I do my thing, but there's this other thing, which is probably the thing that, you know, that invisible hand of providence that moves things around and won't let your house sell and that kind of thing. That's like, no. You're in together. Do you guys have any sense of that?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I would agree with that 100%. I think that aligns with some of what Jesus talked about. When he would say, "Come together in my name." When people come together in groups, if you're synergizing with each other and energizing with each other, you create something bigger than just the sum of the people that sit there together. You know what I mean? And depending on different authors, some of them would call it, say, a mastermind or things like that, But to me, it's a synergy. And it creates more energy than exists individually,
I think I totally agree with that. And I think it has become somewhat physicalized, and there's bigger things going on here in this vortex. I think for just us personally in our situation, that's been a big part of it. That this third thing is almost like energetically in the house and in the portal too.
Yeah.
Well, I think you hit it on the head when you said triangle,
Yeah.
in that one of the things that I've been looking at lately and kind of struggling with for a while was there appears to be this duality of going on as you've got all these people, protesting, and they want freedom and they want to be treated better and they should be. And then you have the people in power that are acting in certain fashions. And I was looking at that and I was like, but there's more going on there to me.
Yeah.
But I couldn't put my finger on it. And then I was watching this video and the guy said it's a triangle. And I was like, okay, all right, where's this going? And he ended up having the 3 points of the triangle basically being you have power at one point, you have control at another point, and you have freedom at the third point. And so it's three competing forces right now that are playing out. And all of a sudden a light went on in my head when I heard that. And I was like, okay, because one of the things that I was trying to grapple with was how are the people that are currently in power that are nefarious, for lack of a better term, and are maybe not doing the best things, how are they going to fall from power? Okay. Yeah. How is it that we on the light side are going to, if we don't engage in the same activities that they're engaging in, how do we defeat them? How does it change? How does it shift? Okay. And when I saw that triangle, I realized, oh, it's power fighting control. And it's two aspects of the same kind of darkness that's split and is now fighting itself, and it's going to disintegrate.
Yeah.
And all we have to do is hold ourselves at a certain state and continue to hold ourselves at certain states, and it'll just happen because they're going to dissipate and fall apart right in front of us. We don't have to actively go try to engage them at their level.
Yeah. Morgan, daily, hourly, whatever pulls in channels, whatever you want to call it. She just took the words out of my mouth. You see, that's what I'm talking about. So last night, as I was sipping on a Guinness, trying to chill, she said this to me, that she saw it in the field, that anytime power is stolen or taken, they will always implode. That because of the original, because of the way it occurred and the intention behind it, okay, it will always implode within itself because it's not pure. So that's, that totally, because I think this is kind of where we're getting to is we're starting to understand that we don't have to fight, right?
Right.
It's going to take care of itself.
Yes.
That's the beauty of the perfect design of the universe. You can say another way, you can say what goes around comes around. I remember when I was in my early 20s and I was studying all these different religions, and I was like, wait a minute, every one of these religions says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And they say it in different ways, but if you look it up, you'll see it. Every single one of them, from Confucius to Baha'i faith. I mean, the old ones, the new ones. So that's really, to me, that's the golden rule. The golden rule is what goes around comes around, especially now. I don't know if you guys, how you guys feel about this, but excuse me, but so like karma or the reciprocation of our energy today is occurring, is it occurring at warp speed? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's coming fast and hard with no mercy. It's just like, no, get back in line.
It's not years, it's not months, it's not days.
Just watch your thoughts constantly because they will come like that.
Yes.
Like that.
Yeah. That's been a lot of what I've been picking up in my own personal awareness. it's okay for it comes in. It happened to me this morning. I talked about it on the first show that didn't go. That was a canceled show turning into just a improv, and it was like that. Like these thoughts come in, and I can go, oh wait a minute, I'm going to pull that one back, and I'm going to delete it, and keep going. We actually can do that. That's a superpower, as opposed to letting that loop run and
Yes.
run. Because it's coming back, it comes back almost immediately now. Especially, I found, especially in being in a relationship, where you're so connected, and I've watched that really, really become kind of a balanced vibe, a rewarding vibe. I've watched these loops fade away, and she pulled down a channel a few days ago, right before we had the most incredible sacred sexual experience we've ever had, which was nothing physical, by the way. It was, I turned into my feminine came out, her masculine came out, and you know what happened after that.
Wow.
But it was all up here. We watched it.
Wow.
But right before that happened, when we lay down, because I told her the next day, you channeled before that all happened. She goes, I don't remember what I said. And what she said didn't seem to be related, but it was. And what it was that she was basically saying, and it wasn't just, like you said, it wasn't just about us. It was about the collective, what was available, in that in this relationship, we were now looking at each other. And instead of saying, why does she do that? Why does he do that? Why doesn't he do this? Why doesn't she? That we were actually seeing ourselves and taking it into ourselves. Like you were talking about, Scarlet, where you were saying, why am I doing this? Why would I throw this away? So I guess that energy is available or active now, and it's starting to, show up in the literal physical experience.
I think so. It's really interesting because I work in a part-time job in 3D or, the Matrix or whatever. And in this whole thing, I have seen the biggest shift there.
Yeah. People
that would never have done any of this kind of stuff are just doing it organically.
Yeah.
To me, I'm like, whoa, that's kind of blowing my mind.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like when I get triggered or anything like that, I was triggered, I don't know, last week pretty bad. And I just have to anchor and feel it.
Yeah.
Like just feel every single bit of it. Let it go through. Let it wash through and let it go. As many times as I have to do that. And it's going quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, that resonates a lot. She's been talking about that. I've seen other people talking about it, which is in fact, she went into a big one last night, and I talked about it earlier on the earlier show, which was basically that the human, like her higher self, her higher aspects, her team is basically saying, well, you can do all this up there, but we're not going to make that available. You've got to do it at the ground level. You got to do it at the boots on the ground level. The human will not be absolved from its place in this alignment, because it is the final piece. It is the piece which includes the mental and the emotional and the physical body. I mean, and I think the way you explained it, Scarlet, was perfect. Because I know I had a huge breakthrough in the late 2019, and it was, she would work with me, and I would 0 point. And then it got to the point where something would come up, and something she had said triggered it in me, which was, like, don't run from the emotion. If you're pissed off or you're sad, so then it became like, I'd say, hey, you know what, this happened and I'm pissed off. She was like, you want to clear it? I'm like, no, I want to go sit on the bed and I'm going to feel this. And I watched it. And I don't have the visuals like people like you do or Morgan does, but I saw my energy, or that, whatever that was, just dissipate.
Yeah.
It just like went away, and I've used it over and over and again. And I think it is very abundant and available now. And I do think it's a natural progression, and that's what you're observing at work.
Yes, which is amazing. I don't think people even really understand that they're doing it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, but yeah, it's what a relief.
Right.
I like the analogy of a wave myself. Like if you're in the ocean and a wave comes, if you try to stand tough in front of the wave,
Yeah.
it rocks you around. But
Yeah.
if you just like relax and let the wave flow over you,
Yeah.
it, you're able to kind of stand in one spot and flow with it. And that I use that for myself when I'm in the middle of emotions or things that are happening. I try not to get caught up in them, but at the same time, still be with them,
Yeah.
allow them to happen, allow them feel it, feel the feeling, be with the
Yeah.
feeling, be with the anger, sit with it, allow it to happen. And as you do that, the same thing, you see it literally dissipate,
Yeah.
the wave moves past you and it's gone, and now you're back to your state.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not always seamless,
No.
but it does work.
It seems to be getting more seamless, though.
Yes.
It does. It seems to be. And like even when she was channeling that last night, I started seeing it again, and I was like, okay, so I get what you're saying because I know where she's been up here. I know how she operates. this wisdom, and I think I told her last night. I said it's almost like we could go find a place in the middle of nowhere on top of a mountain with good internet. You could follow your pursuit. I follow my pursuit, and we could live with the animal. We could just live this Snow White kind of thing. But there's something else.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an option. Your human is being called. It's a soul call to arms,
Yeah.
And so I started to see it. I thought, well, how does this work with the emotions? Because what I've sensed is that the emotions is something that's very unique to the human aspect as opposed to the rest of the universal family. And there's something about the alchemization or transformation quality or potential of emotions, instead of it being, oh, I'm going to go kick their ass, but to actually turn that, sit with it, and allow that to transform and transmute and create.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's kind of what I was picking up when she was saying that last night. Cause that's what I saw. And I think that's,
I think you're spot on. It's our strength and our weakness,
Yeah.
all bundled together.
there
Because
you
if
go.
you don't know how to deal with it, it's a weakness, and it'll wreck you and it'll destroy your life. But if you start to understand it and be one with it, it's everything, and then it becomes very powerful and it becomes very enabling, and
Well, I don't find that I'm getting entangled, and you're spot on with that creativity. All of a sudden there's this point and it's like, bam, it's like, oh, wow, I'm out of it. And something just alchemized.
Yeah.
Or I'd be entangled for how long,
Yeah. I think it has, what I think it has, two things come to mind. One is what Curt said about the subtlety of the relationship, because it's all energy. It's just different faces of it, right? And so like, we think, okay, especially where we came from. And I think it did apply. I think prior to a year ago, since 2012, prior to 2012, there was a certain way, there was a certain template, which was, I'm going to go see this practitioner. She's going to zap me. I'm going to get activated. I'm going to feel something instantaneously, but it comes back. It comes back. Like it wasn't solved. And
then you came back down again.
yeah. And so like Morgan uses this invocation that she downloaded, which is very human. Like you can't hide. Like when she met me, she said, I'm here. I know this stuff. I didn't come here just to play around. Let's get to work. You've got some shadow. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like connected. I'm got soulogy, Said, no. You got some shadow. Make this list. Make a list of your failures. And I was like, what the hell? So I make a list of 15, 16 failures. I take it into her room. She's like, no, that's not going to work. No, you're going to tell me you're 50 years old and that's all you can come up with? And I'm like, damn it. So I went back and I'm telling you, 5 o'clock in the morning, 130, 140. I'm crying. I got snot running out of my nose. I'm like, why the hell did you do this to me? But it exploded my third eye. Why? Because the human had to go be called out on the carpet.
Yeah.
I couldn't blame my mother. I couldn't blame my father. I couldn't blame my boss.
Yeah.
It was all about me. And I think that's the one thing that comes to mind. And then the other thing that you said, Curt, I remember years ago when I was an avid reader, I used to like to read Thomas Cahill. He wrote How the Jews Saved Civilization and a few other great books. And I remember watching him on a talk show with Charlie Rose, and they were talking about America because he had written a book about America, and he said, "What do you consider America's greatest strength to be?" And he said, "Well, it's a melting pot. Like, in other words, there's all these ethnicities, all these cultures, all these religions." And he went on, and then he said, "What do you think its greatest weakness is?" And he said,
Yeah.
"It's a melting pot." And it was like the polarity reality of it hit me, and I went, "Wow, I got to remember that," which is really what you just said. You know,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's the human. That's
yeah,
human.
that's right.
Yeah.
It's not. It's both, right?
Mhm.
I mean, it really is. It's both, and when you can hold each one of those equally in your field, that's, to me, that's 0 point. You know, that's it. But you can't go somewhere and get zapped,
No.
or this is a it's a process that fully involves a human. The human has to be respected, loved, honored, and revered.
Yeah.
And I think this is kind of the same force that wouldn't let your house sell. Yeah, right. I
Great.
wouldn't. Yeah.
I think also that you've got there's this crossover when you first start these spiritual practices. There's a lot of experiential components involved with it. Okay,
Yeah.
so I think sometimes people get addicted to that or stuck with that. Okay, and then as you progress down the path, it becomes way more subtle. Well, that's not nearly as exciting as these energetic experiences were. You know what I mean? So sometimes people look at that and go, well, I don't think I'm growing. I've fallen off. You know what I mean? Because I was having all these big experiences and now I'm not really having any experiences. Or I had all these things that were speaking to me and telling me what I needed to do, and now I don't have anything speaking to me.
That's
And
right.
I'm not getting any guidance. You know,
Sounds like our conversation
it's
yesterday.
like what happened? Where did all my people go?
That's
You know?
right.
But that's part of the process. Is if you think about it, it's similar in a way to you're a kid and you have teachers that are there helping you, and you have coaches, and you have your parents, and you have extended family, and then all of a sudden you turn 18 and you go off to college, or you move across the country and you get a job, and now where's your support system? It's gone.
That's
Okay,
right.
and then you gotta grow up suddenly. You know what I mean? It's no longer fun, and it's no longer But it's, to me, it's a very similar process of it's needed. You need to split away from your family. You need to split away from where you were so that you can understand that you're your own unique being, and maybe you cycle back and you go back to your hometown and you go back to your family, and that's okay too. But with a knowledge of who you are, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not with knowledge that somebody told you who you were.
Yeah. And you both use the term "grow up." Scarlet used it when she was talking about the separations and things, and what she was getting, the epiphany she was getting. And, that's the thing too, is like, you're right, because how do you find a higher level of love for yourself if you're on the tit all the time? You know what I mean? And so it's like, and this is another thing that with Morgan. Okay. So as I was going through this stuff, and I remember telling her when I first saw her, when I first met her, I remember telling her, because we had this immediately just went up into the ethers and we're merging, and I said, I know who we are, and I know where we're going, but I don't know how to get there. But if I find out at the end that you knew the whole thing the whole way, I'm going to be pissed. So she said to me, and she said to me many times, I learned it, but she'll point it out to me, say we interact with somebody, we need to say something. No. She always says, why would I take that away from somebody? Why would I take it away from them to find out for themselves? What a great gift. And that's what I get from listening to what Curt's saying. It's absolutely true. And so the growing up thing, it's like the universe. It's like our team, which to me, the team isn't first wave, second. To me, the team is 7.7 billion souls, all that came, all that are coming. And it's like the universe is like, okay, I'm the proverbial mother bird kicking you out of the nest now.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's time to fly.
That's where we're at right now.
Yeah. It's time to put your pants on.
Yeah, exactly.
Head out into the world. And the world's conducive for that at the same time. As scary as that may be, it's also very conducive to do that work. And, and I think people are finding it easier to do that work now. At the same time, other people are struggling because I like to use the analogy of a glass breaking. You create the right frequency and a glass will shatter because it's so far off of its like latent frequency. Well, as the planet continues to evolve its frequency, if people are holding themselves at a lower frequency, at a certain point it hits that resonant point and they feel like they're going to explode because they're so far out of phase with where the planet's at.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. I remember seeing when I read a lot of Emanuel Swedenborg, who was born in the Renaissance or lived during the Renaissance period. And he was a very accomplished guy from Sweden. He was engineer and he was a doctor and he was all this stuff. So at 52 years old, he's chasing the soul, and he decides to dedicate his life to that. So he lays on the couch every day for 17 years, and he goes into dimension. And one of the things that he talked about, of course, he talked about it in the context of language during that day. So he talked about 144 levels of heaven and hell, 72 above, 72 below, 0 point in the middle. And that's what he talked about. It always stuck with me. He said, if you go into an energetic field or a level and you are not the same, you will be repelled out. And I think that's what I'm getting from what Curt's saying too, is it's not like out here, it's in here. And because the energy of the earth is raising, you are going to be in a very, very uncomfortable position, and it's getting louder and louder and louder every single day.
Yeah.
Well, and I think you just hit on something that I try to explain to people as a way of protecting yourself, because there's a lot of fears that are in society today of, we've got school shootings happening and mass shootings and all this kind of stuff. And people are fearful of those kind of things. And I'm like, look, if you hold yourself at a certain vibratory state, those people can't be around you. It won't happen around you for the exact thing that you just talked about, because they get repelled, they get rebuffed away from that energy. And so if you constantly do that with yourself all day long, then that's also what allows you to exist in this state where these things don't happen, because the bad actors that act that way are at a different vibratory state and they can't really get near you.
Yeah.
In yoga, they call it ojos, and it's this thing that you create that's created and you just seamlessly go through life. It's this like protective coating that is created by your vibration or whatever.
Yeah. It's like being in the Forrest Gump bubble.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, literally, it's like, you're right. And I think it's becoming more pronounced now. I think we're seeing more and more people, I mean, if I look at our own story, like, that doesn't even make sense. This woman, this sophisticated, normal, proper woman coming over here. I don't have a home. I don't have a car. I don't have a job. I don't have any money. I have a suitcase and a microphone, and that's it.
And a microphone.
And yet, she was told, go. And her human was like, hell no. Hell no. I brought it up to her last night, and she said, we were talking in this context, the same conversation. And I use it as an example. She goes, for 5 or 6 days prior to me getting on that plane, I had to work on myself over and over and over. And I think that's what's happening. We're starting to reap the rewards, all of us, of listening to the God that we are, the goddess that we are, the higher aspects, whatever you want to call it. And that to me takes courage, and it takes guts, and it also takes a level of surrender that I've never known before. It's like you wake up the next day and you're like, I surrendered yesterday, and it's like the universe says, okay, well, look at the definition of surrender today, because it's not the one you had yesterday.
Right.
I know there's some days I'm like, how much more surrendering can I do? I don't even know how much more. And then you just flow into it. It's like, okay, all right. There's some things that are still sticking. It's okay. And it's not that big of a deal anymore. It's just kind of like, all right, everything's working out. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's like I remember 2 weeks ago taking a drive, and I've mentioned this before, but it's relevant. And they came in. I'd been working all day. I'm taking a ride, chilling out, and they're like, you know, that surrendering and giving up is two different things. I'm like, okay, can you clue me in? And they're like, when you give up, you give your power away.
Yeah.
When you surrender, this is immediately reciprocated with abundance. There's a difference, and you can't fake that surrender. That surrender is fake. You know?
Hello.
Oh, did I lose you?
We just,
Well, yeah.
you know, it's funny because when we talked on our conversation, we had that came up again. So obviously that's relevant.
Yes, I think so. I think
Yes.
so. You guys are beautiful. You really are, man. You guys have so raw, real, funny, all the virtues, you know, that are coming in to play. Not taking yourself so seriously, but plugged in, devotion, service, love. You know, I mean, this is what the world needs. It's not this pie in the sky, fluffy love and light bullshit. You know that we think that, or that we project that we don't go through anything, that nothing affects us. You know, maybe we'll all get there one day.
Maybe.
But I think that's where we came from, and I think the whole idea is to experience the way back. You know, I'm not in a rush. You know?
Yeah.
I want to answer a chat question quick. The spelling is OJAS. Of
Ojos. Ojos.
Okay.
If you want to Google that or look it up.
Thank you for grabbing that one. They came so fast I couldn't grab them. Yeah, this was a fun discussion. This was
Thank
a great
you.
discussion.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us
Thank
on.
you so much. It's so
Yeah.
nice to
Yeah.
just be here with you, you know, and like with other people that are doing the same thing. It's like it's really special because for a long time we were alone doing this. So
Right.
we're so grateful, and you know, all love to everyone.
I hope we get to meet y'all sometime in person.
Hey, because I know you're going out to Sedona, I'm going to be in Utah. So if you want to take a trip to Utah,
Or if you're ever in Michigan, let us know.
hit me up.
We'll
Only
be
only in the spring or summer would I go up there.
Come on, January. It's fun.
Oh yeah, right.
Don't do it.
I've been
Don't
no. I went for a job.
If you are, my name's Winter. So come on. If you're going to experience it, you need to do it with me. All right? That's all I'm saying.
Well, my roots are from the Mexican-American community in deep South Texas on the Mexican border where it's very, very humid and hot. And
Frostbite's your best friend.
I never saw snow till I was 36 years old and I moved to
Oh my
Chicago.
God. Yeah, Michigan might not be the place then.
No. But I'd love, yeah. So you're going to be in Utah. You're going to be in Salt Lake? Where are you going to be?
No, I'm going to be in southern Utah for a
Oh.
week. Yeah, the last in St. George for a
I know
week.
exactly where that is. That's where, oh God, Victoria Lillenquist was living, I think. And
Okay.
and actually another friend of mine. Yeah,
Well,
that's
I
not
know
far.
that's-
That's
Yeah,
like,
if you want to take a day trip, I don't know how far it is, but I'll be there the 19th through the 26th. So,
Wow.
and I might come down to Sedona, but I don't know.
well, we're going to be doing an event on the 19th. We're going to be doing one on the 26th.
Wow.
And it's going to be local and streamed. And then I'm going to be doing a radio show every day from 12 to 2 at my friend's place in West Sedona, right on the main strip. But yeah, you know what? Obviously,
Never know.
you know, you never know. And she's been getting the impression that we're going to be traveling quite a bit after, you know, finding a place to be based out of, which was,
Yeah.
but yeah, we'll see. It'll happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if, you know, the only thing is if Curt and I get together, we're probably going to get in some trouble.
I think so.
No. It's all about experiential reality. Man.
That's right. Me, you, and the elementals in that forest back there. That's what'll happen. You come out looking like Merlin, and I'll come out looking like some gremlin or something.
There you go.
Thank you so much. Y'all take care.
Have a great one.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.